Why is Narendra Modi so popular? That single question changed my life. It sent me down a deep rabbit hole trying to understand India, its politics, and particularly its people. At first, all I saw was a sharp contrast. When I scrolled through social media or read the mainstream media, Modi was characterized as a bigoted nationalist, a fascist, a Nazi. Some people even called him a Hindu Hitler. On the flip side, my relatives, whether inside or outside of India, were raving about him. Initially, I shrugged it off as crazy WhatsApp uncle and auntie rants. But they had a type of vibe that was just contagious. It felt like there was something deeper in their energy. So I started digging. The data from the Modi government claimed massive progress on things like infrastructure, growth, welfare, and even something as mundane as toilet construction. Modi's critics claimed he was cooking the books and that all this was fake. So then I started talking to actual Indians, first on Reddit, then on Twitter, and eventually I traveled across India myself, asking people about their views and seeing how the country had changed since Modi came to power. The last and most crucial piece of the puzzle was also the most concrete: election results. Modi and the BJP kept winning and winning and winning, just again and again. So whether you hate him or love him, there's something special going on here. And I think by grasping the tale of Narendra Modi's rise, you'll not only understand Modi, but you will understand India itself. So here's what I found after years of research and conversation trying to find out the answer to that pivotal question. Why is Narendra Modi so popular? To understand Narendra Modi's popularity, you kind of have to do like a therapy session here. You have to examine his childhood. Modi was born in a tiny town in the West Indian state of Gujarat. He was born in a very poor and lower caste family. His father ran a small tea stall at the local railway station. As a child, Modi helped out at the stall as well. As he grew older, he came into contact with an organization called the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, or the RSS. Now the RSS is controversial. Critics call it a Hindu far-right paramilitary group. Supporters call it a volunteer movement that unites Hindus across caste and class. For a young Modi, it was simply a place to learn discipline, service, and nationalism. Quick sidebar, to understand India, you have to understand that nationalism doesn't mean like fascist or Nazi parties or politics. Secular leaders like Gandhi, Nehru, and Bose were called nationalists during their time. Even in modern India, nationalism is used as a replacement for the word patriotism. Keep this nuance in mind, and let's get back to the story. Yet Modi was not just interested in nationalism or Hinduism from a political perspective. He was genuinely religious. So much so that Modi left home to travel across India as a renunciant for a few years. While Modi would learn much about India and its people during this spiritual sojourn, his journey would end in a disappointment. After arriving at a monastery and asking its head to be ordained as a monk, the head guru rejected him, telling him that his destiny lays elsewhere, in the service of something greater. But even with that glimmer of future greatness, Modi was dejected. He returned home to Gujarat and reconnected with the RSS, becoming a full-time volunteer. His talent in organizing and recruitment eventually led the RSS to send him to work in the Bharatiya Janata Party, or the BJP, which back then was a fledgling and fringe political party. Modi rose quickly in its ranks. He proved to be a master strategizer. Here's an example. In his home state of Gujarat, the BJP was struggling. The Congress Party had dominated elections for decades. Modi, along with a trusted comrade named Amit Shah, engineered a tactic that you could still see in Indian politics today. In various districts in Gujarat, Modi and Shah would find the second most powerful political leader or a leader coming from an underrepresented community. They would rally smaller communities and disaffected voters around this number too. And eventually they would flip the seats by creating a strong enough coalition of counter-consolidation. The BJP would swarm across Gujarat with this tactic, expanding their base and catapulting themselves into power for the first time as they won the 1995 elections. And by 2001, Modi himself had become chief minister. And it's this chief ministership that really built brand Modi. Modi's Gujarat rapidly developed, so much so that Modi began pitching the Gujarat model for all of India. Gujarat was known for its development of infrastructure, entrepreneurship, and also Hindu nationalism. And it's that last aspect that is a double-edged sword for Modi, especially after what happened in 2002. But we'll talk about that later when the time is right. What matters now is understanding that Modi's initial popularity comes not only from the success of Gujarat, but also from his humble origins and intimate understanding of the Indian masses, something he gained from his travels as an ascetic and volunteering in the RSS. Modi's poverty-stricken background, his devotion to his religion and nation, and his commitment to economic development all combined to create a powerful package come 2014, when he would gallivant into power at the center, crushing the Congress Party, which had become embroiled with controversies around corruption, inflation, and minority favoritism, as Modi was now elected as the Prime Minister of India. And it's here where we start to see why Indians truly become enamored with Modi. In 2014, Modi represented different things to different people. Libertarians thought he would be the love child of Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, ushering in massive economic reforms to take India away from its decades-long affair with socialism. Others saw him as someone who would convert secular India into a Hindu state. Another group just wanted him to develop India like he did Gujarat, attracting businesses and investment. But Modi chose a different path. And that's because Modi learned from the past. You see, almost a decade back, another BJP politician named Atal Bihari Vajpayee lost an election that he seemed destined to win. Vajpayee conducted economic reforms, kept a disciplined budget to clean up bad debt, and ran a fairly centrist government. But the issue was that the masses wouldn't feel the effects of these reforms until years later. So average Indians were still suffering economically. Thus, Vajpayee lost and Modi learned a lesson. Politics is about power, and being in power means pleasing the people. The Modi government began to overhaul India's welfare system. Previously, welfare would trickle down through greedy middlemen, who would naturally shave off a cut before it reached the poor. Modi wanted to shave off these middlemen themselves, so he began a process of digitization and formalization of the entire government and financial system, not just welfare. In a controversial move, Modi ordered a sudden mandatory exchange of various rupee notes. All Indians had to go to banks and exchange their old notes for new versions. Many Indians did not have bank accounts though, so millions of people opened an account for the first time through a government program called Jan Dhan. Modi stated that this move was the first strike in a war against corruption and black money. And while the results are mixed on that front, the people took it well. They saw it as an honest attempt to fight classic Indian corruption. But what's more impactful here is the digitization that occurred. Cash shortages meant Indians would utilize an emerging digital ecosystem called India Stack, developed in coordination by the Modi government and private players. While India Stack provided the foundation for digital ID, payments, and more, concurrently, India experienced a mobile revolution with Jio, a super low-cost telecom service launched around the same time, so people could run all their finances from their phones. Instead of using cash, Indians would scan QR codes through their phones to pay for goods and services through a government program called UPI. One's UPI would be connected to newly opened bank accounts, offering seamless payment and accurate measurement of funds. The entire process would be called JAM, an acronym that stands for Jan Dhan, which gave banking access, Aadhaar, a form of digital ID to verify payments and other digital use cases, and Mobile, which services as the medium for digital interactions. Today, over 520 million Indians have opened a Jan Dhan bank account. There are over 20 billion transactions on UPI a month, dwarfing Visa and MasterCard. JAM transformed Indian commerce, birthing billions of dollars worth of industries and also expanding financial inclusion and formalization in a way most Indians could never imagine. So where does the welfare actually come in here? Well, now that Indians had their own secure bank accounts free from the clutches of shady politicians and gundas or gangster middlemen, the government could send them benefits directly, something called direct benefit transfer, or DBT. DBT meant the government skipping the corrupt middleman to directly deposit welfare in one's Jan Dhan bank accounts. This program saved $33 billion across 320 government programs by cutting the infamously corrupt leakages. In this way, DBT is like India's own Doge. And through these savings, Modi delivered more welfare through many existing and new schemes like subsidies for gas connections, farmer income support for 100 million people, rural employment wages, and COVID relief. But it wasn't just raw rupees that the government gave. Using the newly mandatory unique ID of Aadhaar, Modi delivered a lot of basics like over 20 million free housing units built for the poor, over 100 million cooking gas cylinders, establishing free tap water connections, free electricity connections, even things like subsidized loans for women entrepreneurs, or the world's largest insurance scheme in Ayushman Bharat, which covers 500 million people's healthcare. All these things are massively transformational for the average Indian. And of course, the simultaneously shameful but extremely necessary promotion and construction of toilets to stop open defecation. Something finally achieved in 2019. For decades, India's out-of-touch elites didn't address something so basic, but Modi, being from an impoverished background, did. And I could keep firing off statistics about efficiency and welfare access like a machine gun, but the big takeaway here is that Modi gave hundreds of millions of Indians basic human dignity, and you cannot put a price on that. India has transformed. The biggest change from India in 2014 is the sheer scale of development. Modi's frenzied popularity in Gujarat would start to transfer across India precisely due to this commitment to building roads, building airports, building electricity grids, skyscrapers, railways, semiconductor factories, nuclear power plants, just so much building everywhere. Just check out how much more brighter India is from over a decade back. India is literally lighting up. Sometimes it's difficult to believe how much infrastructure Modi has actually built. And I know I sound like a WhatsApp uncle here, so I'll give you the stats. In 2014, India had 91,000 kilometers of national highways. By 2024, it had expanded by 60% to 146,000 kilometers. That's the equivalent of paving a road around Earth 4 times. Remember those classic videos of like 45 Indians on top of a railway cart? Well, that doesn't happen anymore because 45,000 kilometers of Indian railways have been electrified, allowing higher speed, haul capacity, and of course, safety. India had 74 airports in 2014. 10 years later, it doubled to 159. Almost a new airport opening every month. Its port capacity almost doubled, an 87% increase, while its turnaround time went from being the slowest in Asia to faster than Singapore. Look, again, I could mouth off these statistics all day about how India is building across land, air, and sea. But the reason this makes Modi so popular is because infrastructure strengthens India and Indians. Roads, railways, and electricity are reaching remote villages for the first time ever in history. This is genuinely momentous stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what you think of Modi. These are hard facts and concrete progress for all Indians. Modi's Gujarat model was now a national model, and this was not easy to do. In 2014, India was facing rampant inflation and collapsing back-end balance sheets. By reducing corruption with DBT and increasing tax collection as the economy formalized, Modi used those savings to invest in infrastructure. And you could see it visually here on this graph I made. The percentage of government spending on capex or infra, energy, and other investments sharply rises after Modi is elected. These are all foundation blocks for a much bigger move that Modi has to do, reforming the Indian economy. But it's here where Modi's popularity does not cut it. Even Narendra Modi, who has gargantuan favorability ratings, has trouble liberalizing the Indian economy. Every reformer who has done it prior in India has lost their subsequent election. Prior, Modi tried to execute reforms in land and labor, which quickly had to be rolled back. Even his recent push for agricultural reforms ended in a very public failure. And while he has conducted other reforms, like in banking or a unified national sales tax in the GST, this lack of economic liberalization is a stain on his record and holds back India's potential as a global power. So Modi today is actually looking east for inspiration. Decades ago, Deng Xiaoping faced a similar scenario of a China resisting reform. So we decided to test them out in a few special economic zones and cities in southern China. Fishing villages and backwater towns would be declared tax-free zones with relaxed regulations, greater economic autonomy, and investment incentives. After a while, places like Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and Shanghai started to grow. Wildly, in fact. The rest of China looked at them firstly with envy, then with awe, and finally with emulation. Deng convinced other Chinese provinces to reform, and capitalism took root in the world's biggest communist country. Modi is trying to replicate this capitalist experiment now in India. By pushing states to enact reforms in land, labor, agriculture, and business, Modi wants to showcase capitalist success stories to the rest of India. Right now, places in western and southern India are really taking this to heart. Investment and growth is exploding in these regions, and this effect is contagious. Places in the north, like Uttar Pradesh and Assam in the northeast, are now embracing similar policies. Along with this, the central government is incentivizing investment in things like manufacturing with subsidies and deregulation. Just recently, India hit its highest PMI in the last 2 decades, signaling a massive success in business activity and production. This is super good news. But beyond the numbers, how does this actually relate to Modi's popularity? It is because these moves dare Indians to dream, to build, to hope, and to not be complacent. In India, they call it a chalta hai attitude, like whatever goes and nothing will change. And for decades, Indians were told to settle, but Modi said not to settle. He said it's time to build. I think ultimately it's this infusing of self-belief that really endears Modi to Indians. And the idea of self-belief is a great place to hop into our most controversial segment of the video on why Narendra Modi is so popular. It's nationalism. So first, we have to address the elephant in the room, 2002. On February 27th, 2002, a train carrying Hindu pilgrims, men, women, and children, was set on fire in the town of Godhra, Gujarat. Post-mortem reports say this was pre-planned by local Muslim extremists. Modi was just 4 months into his first term as chief minister of Gujarat. Violence quickly broke out across Gujarat. Modi called for extra police forces from adjacent states, then ruled by the Congress Party, but they refused. Riots between Hindus and Muslims continued to burn the state. Eventually, Modi got troops in to calm the state down, but the damage was done. Over 1,000 people were killed, mostly Muslims, but a large number of Hindus as well. Modi was labeled as a communal bigot by the Indian and international media. But for Gujaratis, Modi had demonstrated an iron will to quell the spiraling situation. He was also unapologetic about the Hindu role in the riots. Modi was quick to point out the inhumanity displayed in Godhra by Muslim extremists. Critics, on the other hand, claimed that his defense carried Islamophobic rhetoric and that he purposefully let the riots go on to persecute Muslims. The Congress Party demanded Modi's resignation, but Modi remained defiant, accusing the INC of minority appeasement. Keep this in mind for later. The Congress Party then proceeded with a criminal investigation of Modi, but the Supreme Court found Modi innocent in multiple investigations. There just wasn't enough evidence. And again here, we have to look at the data. Check out the graph of Modi's time as Prime Minister. Communal riots have sharply declined during his term, a far cry from the tumultuous and riot-strewn period of the Congress Party. Anyways, Gujarat was demonized as a bigoted and backward state across India, but Modi decided to move forward and executed development under the famous Gujarat model. But how does this tie into nationalism? Well, Modi was accused of being a Hindu nationalist here, and well, he literally is. But what does that really mean? That's what we have to understand here and how Hindu nationalism makes Modi more popular. Hindu nationalism rose in India as a reaction to a twisting of secularism. In India, Hindu temples, schools, and institutions have regular government interference and extraction, while Muslim and Christian places of worship, schools, and institutions are free from the government. Muslims and Christians also have separate civil legal codes. I don't know about you, but this does not sound like secularism to me. And these are just a few examples of many. This imbalance in how religions are treated fueled resentment from Hindus, and that's where Modi's charges of minority appeasement resonate. And for the past millennium, Muslims and Christians have been the elites of India. Muslim empires like the Mughals systematically persecuted Hindus, destroying Hindu temples, and in some cases conducted forcible conversions, while the British Raj, an administration that heavily favored Christians, dismantled indigenous industries and institutions. There's a reason that the northern half of the Indian subcontinent has been almost wiped clean of pre-Islamic temples. History weighs heavily. So in this way, Hindu nationalism has become a fulcrum of indigenous resistance against foreign oppressors. It is India's version of decolonization. Modi has framed himself as a leader of Hindu nationalism against the old elites of India, those brown Englishmen who haughtily insult Hinduism and India's indigenous way of life, breaking Hindus up by caste and encouraging extremism in minority communities. Between 2004 to 2014, an average of 1,500 Indians would die to terrorism every year. Terror attacks were almost a bi-monthly affair, the vast majority being Islamist and left-wing extremists. After Modi, terrorism was crushed. Most of these would be in Kashmir, and that itself is on its last legs after Modi revoked special rights favoring Kashmir's Muslim population, bringing secularism to the region for the first time in India's history. These are tangible things for the average Indian. Indians don't have to fear a random car bomb in a city, or attacks on temples, or Maoists burning down a random village in India's hinterlands. Just recently, India's largest left-wing terror movement, the Naxalites of the Communist Party of India, have officially surrendered to Modi. At its peak, the movement terrorized 1/3 of India, but in 2025, its hold has been reduced to just a handful of districts. This show of strength makes Indians believe that they themselves are strong and do not have to tolerate extremism. Modi has infused reverence of local Indian religions into the Indian state. He has encouraged the Indian state to protect, promote, and preserve Indian religious traditions, whether via digitizing ancient texts, to popularizing yoga, to sacralizing the new Indian parliament with Hindu religious rituals. Modi values Indian religious traditions in a way no prior prime minister has. And it's not just dharmic religions. Modi has made a point to reach out to local Indian sects of Islam and Christianity to promote more pluralistic Indian versions versus foreign radical ones that continue to seep into India. But Modi's crown achievement on the nationalism front has probably been Ram Mandir. The original Ram Mandir, one of the holiest sites in Hinduism, was destroyed in the 1500s by the first Mughal emperor Babur. Babur built a mosque atop it as a symbol of conquest and humiliation towards Hinduism. For centuries, the site remained a sore spot for Hindus. In 1992, a saffron wave engulfed India as Hindu activists destroyed the mosque, sparking riots across the country and a long legal case. In 2019, the Supreme Court awarded the site back to Hindus, along with allotting land elsewhere for a mosque. With the reclamation of Ram Mandir, Modi etched himself into the history of Indian civilization. But beyond purely religious stuff, Modi has used nationalism as a way to unite Indians and strengthen the country. With more efficient welfare and development across the country, Modi expanded the BJP's footprint, a party previously more popular in certain upper caste and urban centers, into lower caste communities and rural areas of India. Hindu nationalism paired with development became a powerful political force, causing Modi to win 3 elections in a row, something that hasn't happened since India's first prime minister. What makes Modi popular is that nationalism is not like an expression of bigotry. It's a culmination of pride, unity, and dignity. And I think it's that element of dignity where we could really hone in to answer our question: why is Narendra Modi so popular? What ultimately makes Modi popular is that so many Indians can see themselves in him. The poor tea seller knows that the Prime Minister himself was in his shoes long ago. The religious grandmother watched Modi open a long-awaited Ram Mandir. The young business owner has heard of how Modi made Gujarat such a business-friendly state. The overly online and slightly autistic defense enthusiast has seen how Modi struck back against terrorism by unleashing Indian missiles on Pakistan. Modi has become a thali for his supporters. There's something for everyone. But I think all of these constituents have one thing in common, and that's aspiration. Aspirant Indians who want a better India and actually believe that it will become better. They believe in socio-economic mobility. They believe in national pride. They believe in hope. They like seeing Indian companies succeed. They like seeing Indians building and innovating. They like seeing India's place in the world rise. They are not the types of Indians who are just obsessed with getting their own and staying in their pond. They want India to conquer the ocean. In this way, Modi's humble origins and determined personality, facing down corrupt dynasties and cynical politics, has endeared him to so many. Combining religion and modernity, Modi has crafted an idea of a new India, an idea of aspiration, of religious pride, a forward-looking tech hub, not the old India of cynicism, sneering elites and rent-seeking. Ultimately, Modi's many faces all reflect a single Indian yearning, something very simple but very big, the dream of a better India.